Hey guys, I'm Jameson with Rogue Engineer, and today I'm going to show you how we installed this toilet. Let's get started. Now we've been left with some rough plumbing from the plumber. This is 3-inch drain pipe, however it might be 4-inch in your case. This is a flange, a toilet flange that will fit inside of this pipe. They also make one for a 4-inch drain as well, but what we're going to be doing today, since obviously this is too tall, I'm going to use a flush cut saw to take this all the way down to the concrete, and then we'll recess this in there and see where we're at. So what I'm noticing right away is that the flange is about a 1/2 inch high off the ground. So what we need to do is remove this flange, and then we're going to need to cut down the PVC a 1/2 inch below the ground, and then we're going to have to chisel out a little bit of concrete because I can see this lip right here is going to have an issue with that concrete. So we'll use a Dremel with a little cutting wheel, go around the inside of this to cut out that pipe, and then we'll come back with a masonry chisel and just tap out the edge around that pipe. Now I'm going to take a rag and stuff that down in the pipe, and that's just going to catch any of the debris that falls down in there while I'm working on this. If you like videos like this and you want to see more of them, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. And also don't forget to ring that bell right next to it so that you get notifications anytime we drop a new video. Looks like we still might be a little high on this side, so we're going to take a little bit more out. So now, as far as positioning this, before we attach this to the floor, we need to take these T-bolts and slip them into place. This is how the toilet is going to mount to the floor. So these need to be the same distance away from this. So right about there. Then we'll take our tape measure. So we got about 11.5 there. And right there should be good. So now we're going to mount this flange to the floor using concrete anchors. And these are just Tapcons. We've got a masonry bit on here. So we'll put 4 anchors into the floor and secure this thing in place. So now, before we install our toilet, we've got our flange all set. We're going to attach the supply line to the water line that's coming out of the wall. Now I'm working with PEX here, so the nice thing about this is we're going to have to cut this line, and then I've got a push on one piece supply line. So this is just kind of like a shark bite fitting where we'll cut this pipe, push it on, and it's going to fit in place nicely. We've got our valve there so we can turn that on and off, and then this will connect to the toilet bowl. Now, since we're working with water, the first thing I've done is gone ahead and turn off the main to the house. And now we've got the main water supply is turned off, and I've drained the lines by opening a faucet in another bathroom or in another area. So I've got the water drained. Now there's going to be some water that's going to come out of the wall, so I'm going to use this to catch whatever comes out. I've got my PVC cutters, so we will go ahead and cut this line. We've got plenty of play here with the line. There's some flexibility at how far we go into the wall, so I'm going to leave myself a little bit more room here and cut it right about there. Now this is a scutcheon. This is going to cover up the damage to the wall and just kind of dress up this spot and make it look nice. And now we just simply push this press fitting on. Use some pliers back here to kind of hold my pipe so I get a nice good seat. And we're good. All right, so now the toilet that I am using is actually what I'll call a skirted toilet, and that means that the sidewalls are not exposed, so the screws are going to be hidden and all of that stuff. So this is a little bit different. The T-bolts are going to go on here, and then I've got this little nut that will tighten them up and keep them standing up nice and straight for me as I set the toilet down on it. So we've got those in place. Now this is a wax ring. This is gonna go, mine actually came with the toilet. This is going to go on the bottom of the toilet, so we're gonna kind of just press that in place. And what a wax ring does is it actually seals the toilet connection to the flange, and that's gonna prevent any sewer gases from coming back up and stinking up the place. So now we've got to figure out how to set this down on those screws, and then we'll be able to tighten it down. All right, so I've got my wax ring seated, and I can still notice that there's a little wobble here. And I know the reason of that is because the flange normally is mounted to the subfloor, and then the finished floor comes in around that, bringing it about to the same height. However, since I have a polished concrete floor in here, we're not gonna have any floor over top of it. The subfloor is actually our floor. So what I'm gonna do to solve that problem is just put in some shims. I've used treated shim, or I made some shims out of treated wood, and that is going to make sure that they don't rot since they're in contact with the concrete. All right, now I'm gonna take these nuts and try and fit my hands through these holes and secure the base by tightening down on those T-bolts that we put in earlier. So this little rubber gasket goes on here, and that will make sure to seal that connection to the bowl. So we'll set this on top. Okay, so now the toilet came with a special tool which is gonna allow me to get up and under here and tighten these nuts onto the bolts that go through the bowl. So we'll have these little plastic washers, and we will put those on the threaded screw, and then we'll tighten it down with this. So we've got both of the bolts started, or the nuts started on the end of the bolt, and then what we're going to use is a flathead screwdriver come from the top, and then we'll tighten those both up kind of at the same time. So we'll go back and forth, that way the bolt isn't rocking from side to side. All right, so the next step is going to be to connect the water line to our tank. Now this water line is hidden back here, so you won't be able to see me do it, but we're going to push that back there, and then we can tighten that up with this little nut. Okay, I've got that tightened up. Now I'm going to crack this valve and we'll check for leaks. Everything's checking out pretty good. The only thing that we have left to do is we want to set the tank water level to about 3/8 of an inch below the top of the overflow. And you can do that by adjusting this float valve right here. And you can adjust the height by turning this little screw. And we'll see where we end up here. Okay, so now we're gonna cap the side holes, which is where we put our access for those bolts down there. And now we're going to attach our lid, or our seat, and then set the lid on top, and we're done. We'll wet these. These are top mounts. That's clean water, by the way. So we got to push this bulb. So one of the last steps of this process is sealing around the bottom edge of the toilet. Now I'm going to be using DAP 3.0, which this has a antimicrobial product in it, so it's going to resist mold and mildew and staining and odors and stuff like that over time. It also has a lifetime warranty, and it's waterproof or water resistant in 30 minutes. So one of the issues is that we have a little bit bigger gap than normal. So since we had to shim around the toilet, so I'm going to be using backer rod first to fill all the voids, and then I'll lay down that bead of sealant. Now, when you're laying down this silicone, the best way to do it is to make sure that you have a cup of water on hand. And what that's gonna do is you dip your finger in a cup of water and then you run a bead along it. It's gonna keep this sealant from sticking to your hands, and it's just gonna leave a nice smooth bead all the way down it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and maybe learned something along the way. Overly not a complex project and something you can definitely do yourself. But wait, before you go anywhere, make sure you check out this video up here. YouTube thinks you'll like it, and I do too. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, make sure you hit that one right there. And if you want a written tutorial on how to install a toilet, that's gonna be right here. Until next time, be safe and happy building. A little bit of privacy, please.